welcome back. This is Board Game Officer. Today we are going to go over another Kickstarter. I'm going to caveat right off the bat here that I'm going to say the name different than the company says the name. Long story short, they're using a Russian word for the title. So I speak Russian, so I'm going to say it with a Russian accent. However, the game says it not with a Russian accent, so I'm going to apologize for that right up front. But we are going over AHOTNIK, and that is how you say it, is AHOTNIK. However, the company says it's AHOTNIK. Not saying that one is wrong, one is right. That's just with a Russian accent, so I'm just going to use it that way because that's the way that my mouth and brain wants to say it. Let's go ahead and jump on into this Kickstarter and see what it's all about. AHOTNIK, a mech-based semi-cooperative game set in a dark future with nations fighting each other and against giant demons to rule the world. So as we can see, it is not yet funded. It's got 163 backers, still 17 days to go, so it's still got well over 2 weeks. And it's almost to its goal. It's just about 80% funded, so it's getting there, that's for sure. It definitely has a cool video at the first. Definitely go and watch that. I'll kind of show some previews throughout this video as well. So let's go ahead and jump into the game overview. Basically, it's going to be like a PvPvE game, right? It's 2v2, so there's going to be 2 players controlling one AHOTNIK, which are these big old mechs. And these mechs are also known as OXOs. Now, I'm going to say where this is from and what I'm going to say. Once again, big caveat just because this is the way that my brain wants to say it. So the OXO is actually from the Russian word. Here, which I'll kind of put here. This is AHOTNIK, and this is how you spell it in the Russian alphabet. So you got the OXO, which is AHO. So that's where they kind of got the OXO. So as I was reading the rule book and going through this in my mind, every time I saw that, I do not say OXO. I call them the AHOs because that's where they're getting it from, is from the Russian word. Anyways, so they're also known as AHO 3. You got AHO 1, 2, and 3, which are the big mechs that 2 people are controlling and you're fighting each other. However, not only are you fighting each other, you have these demons that are coming in to try to destroy and rule over the world as well, that you're both trying to fight off, but your thirst for power must not come at the cost of total global annihilation. So you're fighting over each other, but if you kill each other, that means the demons are just going to overtake the world. So you kind of have to, that's where the semi-cooperative comes in hand, because you're both trying to not lose, but you're still trying to win as well. So let's go ahead and go down to the pledge levels. So the core pledge is 150 euro, which is about 162 USD. The core pledge, you're going to get 7 giant miniatures, and it's with 4 to 6 players. I want to emphasize on this word giant miniatures. These are huge. I'm going to show a couple pictures here to kind of demonstrate how big these are. All right, so you're going to get 3 different AHOs or AHOTNIKs. Here you got the green, blue, and red, as well as 4 different demon miniatures. You're also going to get pilot boards. There's 2 for each because each person that's controlling one AHOTNIK is going to have that exact same board. It's also going to come with 18 action tiles, which you're going to be playing throughout the game. You got the AHO's board, which kind of keeps track of your health, your shield, and what actions you have done. And then also the demons board, which keeps track of their health and their shields. And then you've got this big old game board. Once again, this game board, it doesn't say anything on this Kickstarter, but this game board is huge. I'll be honest, I was going through the rulebook and this Kickstarter, and I did not really conceptualize how big this was, and how big the minis were, and how big this board was. However, I watched a couple of those preview videos, and it takes up a huge amount of space. The miniatures are huge. Here's the size of the miniatures. It shows you that it's got really, really good detail, which is awesome because it's so big that you really get into those details. You got normal, which is about 1 inch tall, and this is 4.3 inches or 10.8 centimeters. So this thing is tall. However, still just looking at that, it's like, okay, it's big, but it's really hard to really realize how big it is. But as you can see here, it is huge when it's shown into a hand, people moving it around. And the board takes up so much space. So I wanted to emphasize that because with this base pledge being $160 USD, that sounds like a lot. But these miniatures are huge. The board is huge. You are getting a lot in that sense. So as we come down, you're also getting a whole lot of tokens. The add-on is for 189 euro or about 205 USD. So what this does, this is actually going to add, so you can play in odd numbers. The game is 2v2, 2 people are controlling one mech. And it's important that it's 2 different people. So they are adding on a way to play with 3, 5, and 7 players. So it increases up to 7, but you also could play down to 3 and or 5, because it is adding in the OHO00, which is just another mech that's kind of controlled itself. And also it's going to add in 3 more demons. So as you can see, here is the OHO00 miniature, which is great because it's kind of neutral because extra little controlling itself. It also comes with those 3 extra demons. Comes with the pilot board for that OHO00, as well as the board to keep track of its health, shields, and actions. Comes with action tiles, and now also it comes with these demon action tiles. So it's actually going to be a little bit in that neutral zone because it's also going to control the demons a little bit and move them around the board too. So it's kind of interesting there. And then those boards to control to track the 3 new demons and the DNA tokens, which we'll talk about here in a bit. So the stretch goals, they do have a couple stretch goals coming, and also a 2-player mode, which I think will be pretty cool. And then social goals about going ahead and sharing it so you can get a solo player mode, which I think would be optimal. Nowadays, solo mode is so popular. I think solo mode is probably the #1 thing that a game needs to be super successful. That's my 100% opinion. There's nothing to back that. That's just my thoughts from what I've seen. So take that for what it's worth. But from what I've seen, solo games seem to do so much better. At least when there's a solo aspect to the game, it seems to do a lot better. So I think this is really, really important. I don't know where they're at with these 100 shares. I don't know if they're close to it or not. But I think that's an important thing that needs to be unlocked. So I don't know if that needs to be lowered. I don't know if it's already almost there. I think if that became a thing, I think the backing would up quite a bit. They are going to do extra add-ons. It looks like some new OHOs or AHOTNIKs, new mechs coming on for add-ons. And then how to play. Now this really stands out right here, along with the title of how they've spelt this AHOTNIK. They have used the Cyrillic alphabet in conjunction with the English alphabet. So this how to play, this W right there is actually a sh in Russian. And then this A is actually a D in Russian. And this little thing's playing off of a T in Russian. It's not the exact same, but it's kind of playing off of it. So if the thing looks really weird, that's why. They're kind of inputting the Cyrillic alphabet that look like the English word. I think it's pretty cool though. The game of AHOTNIK is divided into 4 phases. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper than what's just said here. I've read the rulebook, so I want to kind of give it a little bit more detail on what's actually going on in gameplay. So pilot phase, this is the time that there's no communication allowed during this. So throughout the whole game, you and your partner who's playing the same AHOTNIK are going to be working together, but you cannot communicate about any tactics that you're trying to do. Obviously, you can talk around the board. It doesn't have to be silent throughout the game, but you cannot talk strategy with your partner. So this pilot phase is where it really becomes important to not communicate. You're going to have 3 tiles right here. You've got a tactical tile, a movement tile, or an attack tile. And these are tiles, not cards. Your board is going to be a nice thick tile board. So you're going to place down a tile face down on your board at a certain number. And you're going to take turns around the circle where you place one and then the next person goes. And then when it gets to the last person, that person is going to play the first one and their second one. And then it's going to go back around the circle in the other direction. So everyone places their second tile. And that is the pilot phase. So you don't know what your partner is playing down, but you can see where they're placing it. So if you two are in sync, you'd be like, oh, he's playing that on the number 2 because that's the direction he wants to go, or that's the action that he wants to do. So I'm going to think that he's doing that for the movement or for the attack or the you can have a successful synapse, a forced synapse, or a failed synapse. So the successful synapse means that we both place the exact same tile, the movement, tactical, or attack tile, in the exact same position. So we both placed our tactic on 3. That means that is a full successful synapse. Same tile, same place, action goes as planned, exactly what we want to happen, happen. A forced synapse means that we both placed the movement tile out on the board, but I put mine on 5 and he put his on 2. Now, as you can see here, each hexagon on the thing has a number for which direction. So when you place that movement tile on 5, that means you want to move your AHOTNIK in the direction of the 5. So if he placed his on 2 and you place yours on 5, that means you're out of sync. So that means it's a forced synapse, meaning same tile, but it's on a different space. Therefore, that action is reduced. So if it's that movement, so you're saying one person said move in direction 5, the other said move in direction 2. Now what you basically do is roll the dice, and you're going to randomly pick which direction you go. Because it's kind of a forced synapse, it's not really working. Now, let's say I place the movement tile, but my partner placed the attack and tactical tile and not the movement tile. That means that move is not going to happen. You're not going to move whatsoever. And that is the failed synapse. Means different tiles, no tiles match. Now, there are only 3 tiles, so that means you will always get at least a forced synapse, right? Because there's only 3 choices, so at least one of those will be the same. However, it's a question whether or not the second is going to be the same or not, and if it's in the same place. So once the AHOTNIK goes, you're going to decide to move, attack, do some tactical action. Each AHOTNIK has their own tactical specialty, and each placement on the board depends on what type of attack and or tactic or where you're going to move. So the placement on the board and the tile really do matter. Now, after all the AHOTNIKs have activated, then we go into the demon phase. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to move. Now, they could only move in a straight line, so they're going to move in a straight line to the closest AHOTNIK. That does not have their DNA. So I think this part is actually really cool. It's going to benefit you to actually attack the demons as well as the other AHOTNIKs. Because every time you kill a demon, you are going to obtain that demon's DNA. Then anytime that demon is on the board, it will ignore you. Because you have the DNA, it does not recognize you. It thinks that you are the demon. Therefore, it will not target you whatsoever. So the demon phase, they're going to move. They're going to attack. At the end of that, they're going to spawn. And they're going to spawn, depending on the demon radar, they're going to spawn. Now, what you're going to do when they spawn, you're going to draw out of the bag. You're going to depend on what token you get, and you're going to place it on the board. Now, if that token shows the demon that is not on the board, you will spawn that on a spawning point. If that demon is already on the board, you're going to place it next to the other one, and the next round, they're going to activate twice. Then after they've moved, attacked, and spawned, then we go to the recovery phase, which is just basically, you grab all your tiles back, you kind of reset your hand and your tiles and everything on the board. Any special actions that tells you to do anything during the recovery phase, you will then do that. And at the very end, you change the first player tile for who's playing the tile first and who gets to activate the AHOTNIK first. And then you repeat that until one AHOTNIK dies. So there's 2 ways to end this game. One is if a AHOTNIK dies, any AHOTNIK, if it dies, the game immediately ends. Or if the threat tracker gets all the way up to 14, that means the demons win and both AHOTNIKs lose. The demons take over the world and everyone dies. So you both lose. So that's where the semi-co-op comes from, is you don't want the demons to win, but you also don't want your other AHOTNIK to win either. Now, this part I think is really kind of cool and fun and different. So not only, right, you don't want to get the threat track up to 14, right? So you're battling that. However, another way for the demons to win is if an AHOTNIK dies and the threat tracker is above 8. So if the threat tracker is getting up to like 8, 9, or 10, it does not behoove you to try to kill the other AHOTNIK and finish the game. It behooves you more to try to get that initiative track or that threat track down as far as you can and then kill the AHOTNIK. So then you could win, because the surviving AHOTNIK is the winner, right? So it's kind of that battle back and forth. It's like, well, I want to kill him, but I can't do it yet, because if I kill him now, we both lose, and I want to win. So we're actually going to have to work together to try to get that threat track down, and then go back to trying to attack each other. And they do have here that you can download the rulebook that's in progress right now, so if you want to learn more about it, go ahead and download it. It's actually a pretty easy to read rulebook. I went through it, and after the first time I went through it, I felt like I understood how to play the game. So I think they've done really well with the rulebook so far. And then we've got a whole lot of preview videos here. And we come down, we do have some shipping here. It looks like shipping's anywhere from 20 to 50 euro, which US that's going to be, anywhere from 25 to 70 USD. So about par, not great, but not horrible either. I'm sure it's probably a pretty heavy game because these miniatures are large. So there you have AHOTNIK. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about this game. If you like these semi-co-op games, if you like these reviews, let me know. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like this video. That would help me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.